Are you so tired of making dinner from scratch every single night and you're feeling exhausted and worn out and it's gotta be easier? Well, I have a trick for you. I'm gonna show you how I batch cook an ingredient like ground beef early in the week to make my week of meals so much easier. I'm Cassie Joy of Fed and Fit, and today I'm gonna show you how we're gonna turn this 6 pounds of ground beef into a delicious, cheesy Philly cheesesteak skillet full of peppers and onions. My family loves it. The second meal is a taco salad. It's so beautiful and vibrant, and family members can make exactly how they want it. And then the third meal is, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, the best beef chili you're ever gonna have. I know how intimidating it can be to look at this huge pile of ground beef and think, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I'm here for you. By the end of this video, you're going to feel so confident and ready to tackle this kind of meal prep, and it's gonna make your life so much easier. So let's talk about tips on batch cooking ground beef. I'm gonna go ahead and get this pot started so that it's going. About medium-high heat. So my very first tip for you is to use a really big pot. Now I'm going to use today's ground beef to make 3 big family-friendly dinners. So I'm using 6 whole pounds of ground beef. Get out the enameled cast iron, something with really tall sides, a nice big pot, because as this starts to cook and simmer, it's nice having a heavy pot to kind of push up against and cook around in. It just makes it so much easier. It might feel like a little overdone because you may not feel like you need this big pot, but it really does make it easier. The next tip I have for you is exactly what I have in my hand right now, but it is to use your potato masher. So this is a very basic potato masher. There are all kinds of really fancy potato mashers out there, some that have little holes and springs and all that good gadgety stuff. I like old reliable, but this is my favorite way to break up ground beef while it's cooking, because instead of using the spoon to where you're just like dab, 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 and constantly doing that the whole time while it starts to brown, this allows us to really break up that meat and mix up what's in contact with the bottom of the pot so it can cook really evenly. My third tip for you when you're batch cooking ground beef like this is to actually don't season it right now. I want you to wait to season it until you're ready to use it for the meals that you're going to be making later in the week. And the reason for that is because that way you're able to just season from scratch and you're able to follow a recipe in its entirety without having to do the mental math of, well, I added salt then, how much should I be adding now? It's going to make your life so much easier if you just wait to season. Your ground beef, especially when you're cooking a lot, is going to bubble like this. It might look like it's boiling. That is totally normal. Ground beef is going to release both water and fat as it cooks. And so the idea is that we just want to keep turning it over and making sure that whatever's in contact with the bottom of the pan gets rotated through until it's all brown. See how it's releasing all of this water and fat? At this point, the meat is cooked because there's no pink left, and because I used my potato masher, I was able to keep it broken up. But I want to cook it just a little bit further and evaporate off a little bit more of that water, and then we'll be ready to let it cool and store it. Okay, the ground beef is done cooking and it's ready. We're ready to move on to the next step of storing it. And I have 3 ground beef storage tips for you for making use of this beef throughout the week. First one is to let it cool just a little bit. You can actually let it cool a little bit longer than what I'm gonna do. You can probably see it's still a little steamy, which is okay. But if you let it cool, it's just gonna be a little bit safer to use as you portion it off. Second tip is to portion it off into your meal bins. And so what I've got here, we have these handy little plastic containers. You can use glass, you can use whatever you've got on hand. I've portioned it off into plastic bags before. And so I say, I'm going to use this meat to make 3 different dinners. And what I want you to do is I want you to portion it off into your dinner containers so it's already ready to go. And later on in the week, you're not guessing how much of this, how many scoops of this big batch of beef do you need to set aside for the Philly cheesesteak skillet and so on and so forth. So we're gonna go ahead and break it up. If you still have a bunch of liquid, that's a combination of water and rendered fat, in your ground beef that you've cooked, if you use a spoon with holes in it like this, you can drain off some of that liquid. So I have these lids I'm going to put on top of my meal containers for easy storage. And then my last tip for you for storing your pre-cooked ground beef is to label them. So the reason we label, I'm going to put the name of what it is, which again might feel silly right now, but one day you might be thankful you did this. I'm going to put just ground beef and then the date that I cooked it. Even though I am planning to use all of this throughout the week, you never know when something can happen. And I'm not going to be able to make that beef chili like I planned to on Thursday. And then it's in my refrigerator when I see it on Saturday morning and I'm thinking, oh gosh, when did I cook that? Can I still use it? Can I put it in the freezer? This is going to help you remember. Alrighty, I have 2 bonus tips for you when it comes to meal prepping with ground beef for the week. And the first tip that I have is to organize your groceries into meal bins. When I get home from the grocery store with all of my groceries for what I'm going to use for the week, I portion them off into meal bins instead of putting them in the refrigerator by ingredients. So these bell peppers, for example, instead of putting them in the veggie drawer with all the other vegetables, and then when it comes time, let's say I wanted to make this skillet, the Philly cheesesteak skillet on Wednesday. Come Wednesday, I'm scratching my head trying to remember, wait, what did I need for that cheesesteak skillet? And then I'm rummaging through the veggie drawer. I'm trying to find the right cheese. This way, everything is already prepared and set aside for me. All I need to do is pull this out and then I can start making dinner. So I'm gonna do this for the Philly cheesesteak skillet, our taco salad. If you don't have that kind of space in your fridge, don't worry about it. Use a bag or a basket. My last tip for you is actually, let's say you get to the end of the week and you did not make the chili that I have planned for the end of the week, and you have this ground beef though that's already cooked. My tip for you is to freeze it. So you can take this now already portioned ground beef that you cooked and pop it in the freezer. I do this typically before 5 days is up. And then what I do is that when I put this into the freezer, I also now have a working date that I remember how long I need to use it by in the freezer. And when I freeze already cooked portions, I like to use them up somewhere I target between 3 and 5 months at most in the freezer. And then what you do is I just pull this out, and because it's crumbly and we drained off that extra liquid, it's actually going to reheat beautifully. So I would just put frozen ground beef, cooked ground beef, back into a skillet and get it started and cook it just like I would have if it were out of the refrigerator. It is so versatile, so flexible. So all this prep that you've done is not gonna go to waste. Let's go ahead and make meal number 1, our Philly cheesesteak skillet. First, I'm gonna start my pan over medium-high heat. And this dinner, if you're cooking it with fresh ground beef, as in raw, you're gonna have to cook it in real time. It takes about 25 minutes. So it's still a really fast dinner, but we are going to make it with our already cooked ground beef into the skillet. I'm adding a little olive oil, and then our chopped up onion, and then our chopped up 2 bell peppers. I like red and green because it's really fun and pretty. You can use whatever you want. And then a package of mushrooms. And y'all, if I'm doing this for my kids, which every meal I make is also for my kids, sometimes I will saute these things separately, but also sometimes it's good for them to see it all together. This is pretty much the only cooking we have to do because we already pre-cooked our ground beef. All I have to do is wilt down these vegetables. I'm gonna add in our cooked ground beef, all of our seasonings, and then we top it with cheese. And then poof, dinner's done. Okay, I just added our cooked ground beef, and because it's already cooked, I can go ahead and skip ahead to adding all of our flavoring and seasonings. So I'm adding in here some coconut aminos, and if you're unfamiliar with coconut aminos, it's kind of like soy sauce, but it also adds a little sweetness to the skillet that makes it really delicious. A little bit of broth, some garlic, and Dijon mustard. And that's all we need to bring this skillet to life. I'm just gonna stir everything until it's really well combined and then top it with cheese. Dish number 2, we're going to make our taco salad. And this salad is so good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our already cooked ground meat and put it into a skillet because I want to warm it, I want to warm it back up. because when I'm putting taco meat on top of a salad, I like it to be a little bit warm. And now, remember how I told you, don't season when you're batch cooking, season when you're ready to make your meal, because we're gonna do it right now. So I'm gonna add salt and pepper. This is just medium-high heat. And like I said, because it's already cooked, we're just skipping straight to the spices. I'm gonna add some ground cumin, some oregano. Mexican oregano is great if you can find it. A lot of chili powder. A lot of folks ask, should I really be using that much chili powder? It's not a typo. Lean into the chili powder. And then just a little bit of salt and garlic powder. Oh, there she is. Break her up. And I'm just gonna toss this around in these delicious spices, warm this through. Like I said, we're not really worried about cooking anything, so I just want it to be warm and sizzly. This might just take maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Step 2 of our taco salad is to make our dressing. You could absolutely use your own favorite dressing. So I'm just going to add into a little mason jar some olive oil, some fresh lime juice. I love a lime vinaigrette on taco salad. There are a few things tastier to me. And then just a little bit of salt and pepper. This is how easy dressing is, y'all. We can make dressing all the time. Lid on in a shaker jar. Poof, dressing's done. It's so easy. Hear that sizzle? We know it's pretty much finished, and I want that lime juice flavor to really be punched up, so I'm gonna add in a little bit of fresh lime juice here, just at the end. Give it a stir, turn off the heat, and now we're gonna assemble our salad. All right, so to plate our salad, you could do this a couple different ways. You could plate up this salad as in everybody builds their own bowl, so put out the little onions and the tomatoes and the cheese all in their own bowls and have people assemble what they want. That's always a really fun way to feed a crowd. Or if you want, you could plate it up yourself in a really big platter and a really big bowl. And you know what? I love this platter and I never get to use it. So I'm going to make a really big salad and folks can just pick around what they want or what they don't want. Okay, so romaine lettuce is going in. And on your meal prep day, when you brown the ground beef, it's a really great idea to, on that day, also wash and dry your lettuce so that it's ready to go. You can just run a knife through it. You can break it with your hands. Either way, get this ready to cook. Cook. We're not cooking this lettuce. Get it ready to make your salad. In she goes. Now we're just gonna add on fun toppings. The toppings that I like on taco salad are some corn. I like to get a can of corn and then we'll drain it through a little strainer sheath like this. Same thing for a can of beans. Some black beans I think are delicious, and I'll put it in that strainer and rinse them so that they're not really starchy. They'll be really nice and fresh. And then cheese, tomatoes, onion, what else do we have? Jalapenos, guacamole, and sour cream. All of that gets put on top and around our ground beef so that when folks take a big bite of the salad, they get a little bit of everything. The third dinner we're making is this delicious homemade chili. This is my favorite chili ever, and I make a lot of varieties. This is it. It's my husband's favorite. This is when we make it for friends. This is their favorite. You wanna know the secret ingredient? It's bacon. It's bacon. We're putting bacon in our chili. Okay, so what I've done is I have pre-crisped up some bacon in this big pot, and I'm just going to run my knife through it. But the bacon grease in this pot is what we're using to cook the chili with. So to the bacon grease, and I've got medium-high heat, I'm going to add onion. And if you want to skip this, right, because we're all about the shortcuts today, you can definitely use granulated onion and garlic if you don't want to use fresh. Okay, onion and garlic is looking good. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in our ground beef. It's cooked, it's crumbly, it's ready to go. This just gets poured right in to our skillet, or big pot rather. And I'm going to add our dry seasoning. So I've got some oregano, some cumin. It would not be chili in the Garcia household without some cumin. A good amount of paprika, and then my favorite chili powder, a mild chili powder, a whole bunch of it. And if you want all the exact ingredients and you want to make it from scratch, the recipe is linked below for you. Give this a stir so that that meat soaks up some of those dried spices, and then we'll add everything else. Ground beef is all cooked up. Well, it was already cooked, but now it's soaked up all the spices and it looks really yummy and it's totally warmed through. So I'm gonna add in our fire roasted tomatoes, some beef broth. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to eat this. I'm going to add in 3 cans of black beans, and I like to mix it up, so we're gonna do kidney, pinto, and black beans. That helps provide really great fiber and carbohydrates to round this out. And then a little tomato paste, a can of tomato paste, and then just before we're done, I'll add in the bacon, and then it's ready to go. We'll top it, serve it up. Linked below, you'll find links to the 3 recipes we made today. Thanks for watching.